Quentin Tarantino is breaking his silence finally. He's slamming his critics for trying to, quote, demonize him. The whole controversy began over comments Quentin Tarantino made at a New York City anti-police brutality rally last month. Listen.
I'm doing here because I am a human being with a conscience. And when I see murder, I cannot stand by. And I have to call the murdered, and I have to call the murderers, the murderers.
Some police groups were outraged at that remark, and they're calling for a boycott of Tarantino's upcoming film, The Hateful Eight. Now the controversial director is firing back, saying, quote, I have a First Amendment right to protest against police brutality as I see it, and I'm not backing down from that. So let's talk about that. I'm joined on the phone by Patrick Culligan. He's the president of the New Jersey State Policemen's Benevolent Association. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me, Carol.
So what do you say about Quentin Tarantino's First Amendment rights?
I say he certainly has a First Amendment right. We defend it every day in every state in this country. And we have the First Amendment right to say we don't agree with him and implore our members to boycott his movies.
Also in that interview, I just want to read you another line. Tarantino said, instead of examining the problem of police brutality in this country, better they single me out. And their message is very clear. It's to shut me down. It's to discredit me. It is to intimidate me. Your thoughts?
We have a guy who arrives from L.A. on a plane, gets off, goes to an anti-police rally, finishes his anti-police rhetoric, which we don't need at this time in 2015, gets back on his plane, goes back to his mansion and sleeps soundly, and stirs the pot of, you know, certainly a fragile relationship we have right now with the citizenry of the country.
Tell me about that fragile relationship and how exactly Tarantino is feeding into that.
Well, you know, since of course the events of Ferguson, things have changed dramatically in our business. The thing that people lose touch of, there are almost 1,000 arrests a day by law enforcement officers throughout this country. There's 12.5 million people a year get arrested, and by far you don't hear about them. They're not all pretty. When we arrest somebody, even if it's not violent, it's nothing fun to watch. It's nothing pretty to see. We don't take great pride in it, but unfortunately, some people choose not to follow the lawful direction of police officers, and again, it's not pretty when it happens. When we're fighting with a suspect, you know, we know that there's 50 cameras on us now. There's things that we have to do to effect arrest. We can't walk away and say we're going to get you next time. When somebody's placed under arrest and they have a lawful order, they're compelled to comply with that order.
You mentioned that Quentin Tarantino lives in this fantasy world, and I just want to play a clip from the upcoming movie. What is it? Oh, gosh, I'm going to forget its name now. Hateful Eight, The Hateful Eight. And, you know, Quentin Tarantino's movies are often ultra-violent, and they feature gun violence often. So I just want to play you the clip from the trailer to his latest movie. Let's watch.
Move a little strange, you're going to get a bullet. Not a warning, not a question, a bullet.
In your mind, does Quentin Tarantino have a responsibility for some of the gun violence that's occurring in this country?
You know, it's been debated for decades now. He has the right to make any movie he wants, but his timing, I really question the timing of him flying out here, talking at this rally, and heading back when his movie's about, what, less than a month away. And that's really my issue, to come hop in at a popular time at a large rally, say what he says, and then, like I said, get back on the safety of his plane and sleep soundly in L.A. Isn't sitting with me or any of the other police groups that have chosen to boycott, again, this anti-police rhetoric that we don't need right now. We need to heal. We don't need to exacerbate the problem and just make it worse throughout this country. It's a time for us to move on, and the changes are made. The body cameras are coming out. You know, we know we're on video every time a police encounter occurs. So let's move on. I mean, like I said, 1,000 arrests a day, and every once in a while we make a mistake, and we know we make a mistake. And do we have bad cops out there? There's bad doctors out there. There's bad mechanics out there. But let's all learn instead of sit there and pointing fingers and calling us murderers. I mean, let's face it. He wasn't at a Girl Scout rally. He was at an anti-police rally, and his statement was, "I have to call the murderers the murderers." I don't know what he thinks he said. I don't know what he thinks he wants us to assume that he meant. He called us murderers. It's just clear and simple.
All right, Patrick Colligan, the president of the New Jersey State Policemen's Benevolent Association, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I'll be right back.